Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a main menu in Unreal 4 using its widget system. The first thing though that we want to do is set up a new map in Unreal 4 because that's where our main menu is going to reside. It's just going to reside in its own level. So to do that, I'm just going to go to my map section or my map folder, right click, new level, just going to call this main underscore menu. I'm going to save and open it up. Now the problem with this is when you press play, you're going to have a character that falls through the floor, because in our blueprints folder we've got this 2D side scroller game mode, that if I double click it, its default pawn class is set to our player, so the 2D side scroller character. What we want to do though is, just for this level, is produce another game mode which doesn't have a pawn, so when it loads it's not going to load a character. So to do that, I'm just going to copy and paste this here one by Control C, Control V. I'm going to rename it, okay. So I'm just going to name it MM for main menu game mode. Then what I want to do is go to our settings, okay, and go to world settings, and it'll open up maybe beside your details panel, okay, but it'll be in its own separate panel. And then in game mode override, we're going to choose our MM game mode, and then we can save. And we press play now. I forgot, in our MM game mode we need to change our default pawn class to none. Compile and save that, and then if we press play, we'll not have a character spawn. So that's what we want. Next thing is, in our blueprints folder again, I'm going to right click, create a new folder, and I'm going to call this interface. You can color code it if you want. And then in that folder I'm going to right click, and I'm going to scroll wheel down because it's kind of hidden underneath, but there's a bar here if you want to move that. Scroll wheel down, user interface, and then widget blueprint. And I'm just going to call this MM underscore widget. Open up that. It's going to have a new window. This is split into two parts. We've got our designer window. This is where we design our UI, and then our graph window where we kind of do all the blueprints, kind of like any other BP. In the designer window we've got a palette of buttons, images, boxes that we can add in to our canvas, and then we've got a hierarchy showing, you know, what elements are actually in our UI. Down here we can do animations, which we will do later on, and then over here is context sensitive details panel, just like anywhere else in Unreal 4. I have set up a UI inside Photoshop, so I usually design it in here first, so pretty basic. I downloaded a Mega Man image. I've then created some text boxes for start game, options, and quick game. I've tried to keep them into the theme, you know, the font and stuff like that, and the color. So when you're designing yours, make sure it stays with the theme of your actual game, okay? And then I've saved them out as individual images.pngs. So back into Unreal 4, I'm going to import them. So remember, you can drag and drop. So I've got my MM back, MM options, quit and start. Open them up. And for these three, I'm going to have to change a few things, just because UI elements, you don't want the textures compressed, kind of like our sprites. So an easy way around that is to select them all, right click, and sprite actions, apply paper 2D texture settings. I'll not do it to the background, but these buttons, I'm going to do it to those. Back into my widget. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag an image over my canvas panel. Select it, name it background. Under brush, so under appearance brush, you'll have this image. In there I'm going to search for MM, and I'll bring up my background, and then I'm going to size the content. Okay, and it should size. Top left hand corner, this here flower icon is your anchor point. Okay, so you can pull that a point apart, move it wherever you want, but in the top left hand corner for this it's okay. And what it does is, if your screen size changes, this here will actually shrink towards that anchor point. So I could have it in the middle if I wanted to, but up in the left hand corner is fine. You can change the anchor point settings here as well, so it will snap to different parts, and then you can change its position, size, anything like that will happen in this detail section over here. My buttons, I'm going to drag in one at a time. So that's going to go in my canvas panel. I'm going to call this Start Game. Under Style, there's going to be a few options here, okay? Normal, hovered, pressed, disabled. So these are kind of like the states that you can have your button in your menu. So normal would be what it looks like normally. Hovered is if you have your mouse hovered over it, what does it look like? Pressed is when you click on it, what happens? And disabled, so if you can't click on it or hover over or anything, you know, what does it look like then? I'm going to go into the first one, normal, and I'm just going to search for my texture again. This is going to be the start screen, and what I'm going to do is basically right click the normal, copy that, and I'm going to paste it into the other ones. So hovered, pressed, and disabled. Okay, all going to look the same for now. I'm going to make sure I've got size of content turned on, so it's the correct size, and I'm going to change the Z order to 1. Okay, because my background set to 0, I want my start game to kind of be above that, so I'm just setting the Z order to 1, and I'll place it in there. I'm going to drag another button down. I'll call this options. Again, under normal, I'm going to grab my texture for options. I'm going to resize it, and Z order I'm going to put to 1 as well. Forgot, I'm going to have to copy this and paste it into these. Another button on my canvas. I'm going to call this Quit Game. Again, under normal, grab this here, Quit Game, resize it, reorder it to 1, place it, and then for normal I'm going to copy and paste into these. And then just to kind of straighten these up a bit, I'm just going to grab the X position for the start game and put that for the options, and also quit position. And then I can just move that down slightly. So that's kind of the basic look of it set up. What I can do is then compile it and play, but it won't show. What I'll have to do is go into the blueprints, open level blueprint, and what we have to do here is basically right click and type in widget. We'll be able to create a widget. You have to choose yours, so I'm going to select a class. You can see my widgets there, so I'm going to select that. So I've created a widget, but it's not on the screen yet, so I have to take this return value, pull it out, let go, and then type in viewport. Add the viewport. So now if I compile and press play, you'll see that we have our screen. So back to our widget editor, I'm going to do a few things. Okay, so first of all, when we start our game, if I select a button and scroll down to the bottom, I've got this on clicked. Okay, and if I hit this plus icon, you can see it brings me to the graph editor. So I'm away from the design, I'm in the graph editor, and it's saying on clicked. So if I on click the start game, I can do something. Alright, so what I want to do with that is load a level. So I'll type in level, open level, and what I want to do is go to my maps and see what level I want to open, and it's the 2D side scroller example map. So I'm going to copy that name and place it in there. Does it let you copy and paste? Yes, it does. Now the only problem is I can't see my mouse. Okay, So what I have to do in my level blueprints is right click, type in controller, get my player controller and pull out from that and type in mouse. And scroll down the bottom and you should say show, get or set show mouse cursor. Okay. I'm going to click that so it's true. So I'm going to be able to see my mouse now. So if I click on this, it will open up the level. And since the other level doesn't have a widget attached to it, it automatically makes this here one disappear. I can take this a wee bit further. So my start game. I can have that selected and click on animation, and I'll just call this start anim. And what I can do is I can start adding in keyframes here. So I'll add in my start game, a track, I'll put on transform. And what I can do is I can change the scale of this so it kind of moves in and out. So at the minute it's set to 1:1, which is fine. But then when I click on it, you might want to go like half its size. So 0.5 in each slot. It's going to move like that. And then it's going to go back up to 1. So compile and save that into my graph editor. I've got my start anim. I'm going to grab that there. I'm going to get it, pull it out, type in play. Under user interface you've got play animation. So I know this animation lasts, it's about half a second long. So what I want to do is, before I open my level, I just want to delay that, maybe by 0.7. So first of all, it's going to play this animation, and then it's going to load my level after like half a second. So compile, save, press play. So if I click on this, then it'll open up. It's just a small thing that you could add in, and you can do it for the other widgets as well. So if you're quitting the game or anything like that. Specifically with quitting the game, if I go down to on click with that and I type in quit, you can see I can get a quit game, pull that out, compile it, save. So now when I click on quit game, it'll just quit out of it. And I can also play that animation there if I want, add a delay in and such thing. And in the animations, like, you can change loads of other things in here, like you can add in like, color, cursor track, background color, anything like that can be added in there. So that's just a very simple way of adding in a UI for Unreal. I will go into an options one, and I'm also going to do one for just controller setup, so where you don't have to use a keyboard or mouse to navigate this. And I'll also do a pause menu, so when you're in game and you press P or escape, you can pause the game and come back out to this main menu, go into options or quit the game. We'll add in elements like that also.